kapag may obligasyon ng Pilipinas sa ICC, sa Interpol, do we still have to comply with the Bill of Rights that guarantees the rights to the accused and to the arrested?
That's a given.
Certainly, the Bill of Rights is there precisely to limit the powers of the government. If the government can circumvent the Bill of Rights by just entering a treaty, then the rights guaranteed under Article 3 of the Constitution are no longer secure, hindi po ba? So, can compliance with the ICC obligations allow the government to disregard the Bill of Rights? Hindi po ba? Maliwanag po yun. At for the same reason, na talaga ang nangingibabaw sa lahat ay yung ating konstitusyon. So, kahit papano, napilitan na maaresto at itangay ang dating Pangulo sa ICC dahil daw sa ilang obligasyon, pandaigdigan, kinakailangan talagang sumunod pa rin tayo sa ating saligang batas, lalo na yung Article 3. Talagang sagrado po yun, di po ba? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, ang tanong namin at tanong ng lahat ng sambayanan, bakit ang pamahalaan, ang administrasyon, hindi muna kumuha ng court-issued warrant galing sa Pilipinas bago inaresto si Presidente Duterte? Why didn't the administration secure a court order before flying the President out of the country? Nung last hearing, may sinasabi si Secretary Remulla na yung nangyari surrender, hindi extradition. At hindi katulad ng extradition, sa surrender, hindi kinakailangan mag-issue ng warrant of arrest para damputin ang dating Pangulo. Tama po ba yun? Kasi yun ang sinabi niyo dati nung
Mga extradition kasi, hindi ho natin pwedeng gamitin dito sapagkat hindi tayo pwede mag-file na extradition dahil nasa atin po yung tao. Ang extradition po na sinasabi ng batas ay yung court o yung arresting state, yung state pala na may warrant ang mag-file na extradition sa Pilipinas. Kaya surrender lang po talaga ang option natin. Wala ho tayong ibang option.
Kabisado ko po yan. Panahon pa ng tatay ko yung extradition law natin. Ako yata ng type nung bata. Ang tanong dito, under surrender, there's no need for a Philippine court to issue a warrant. Ang sabi po ninyo, that's the stand of the government. Is that right?
Opo, iyan po yung aming stand.
Does this not contravene the Bill of Rights that we've already agreed upon as being sacred and above all else, particularly the right to deprivation of liberty without due process?
Yung due process po
The right
kasi,
of liberty of abode.
kasi ang due process po rito, yung sa issuing body, yung nag-issue po ng warrant of arrest, if they observe due process. Ang alam po natin, 7 taon pong inimbestigahan itong kasong to, nagbigay po ng notice to sa mga kinauukulan na maaari nilang kasuhan. At pinayagan sila sumagot. Alam ko po yan na binigyan sila ng notice ng mga tanong na binigay sa kanila, pinayagan po sila sumagot. Kung ayaw po nila sumagot,
7
isang
taon
only
dito
po.
sa ibang bansa, hindi 7 taon dito sa Pilipinas.
Opo, habang tayo po sa klaw ng ICC.
Hindi pa rin saklaw yan sa ating batas.
Hindi,
Kasi
ano
ayon
ho?
sa ating batas,
Hindi, habang tayo po ay sa klaw ng ICC, binigyan na po ng due process yung mga tao.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator De La Rosa, please.
May I know from the good secretary, saan kayo nagawa ng information na yun? Na yung mga
Ganun po kasi ang-
binigyan ng tanong, pinapasagot yung mga akusado. Saan mo kayo nagawa ng information na yun?
Tsaka sinusubukan po din ang kausapin. Yun po yung alam ko.
I'm asking about yung sinabi mo kanina.
Natural po yan, nakalakaran, kasi kahit anong korte po, ay binibigyan ng pagkakataon na sumagot ang tao sa mga paratang sa kanya.
Senator Bato, nakalista ka. Binigyan ka ba ng pagkakataon noong nakaraang 7 taon na sumagot sa anumang aligasyon?
Meron nag-communicate sa opisina ko na gusto akong kausapin. So that's it.
Siguro,
Kinausap niyo ba ako? Kasi kung kinausap niyo, marahil ay sinabi na sa inyo yung nais na sabihin.
Bakit ito kausapin? Sinabi mo na nga na hindi niyo recognize yung jurisdiction ng ICC. Kayo mismo, from DOJ. Ilang bisis mo sinasabi noon, Madam Chair, na hindi na recognize. Ako pa? i-recognize ko na ako mismo ang kinakasuhan?
Meron
Kayo na,
mo kasi-
gobyerno na kayo. Kayo na nagsasabi na hindi nyo na-recognize. Bakit ako pa mag-recognize?
Meron po kasi residual powers sa ICC. Yung po
Sabi
yung...
ninyo, isang taon lang yung residual power.
Oo, pero yung
2019 to
buong ano,
2020,
yung buong panahon na dumaan mula 2011 hanggang 2018, ito po ay panahon na meron pong jurisdiction ng ICC sa ating bansa, sa ating mga citizen. Ngunit katapos nun, nawala na ho yung itong, hindi na ho natin maaring kilalanin sapagkat tumatras po tayo sa pamagitan sa ICC nung inatras po ni President Duterte noong 2017 na naging effective lamang noong 2018.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, Senator Bato.
Siguro, Secretary Remulla, you're aware about that. Dalawang dissenting opinion na sinabi ng dalawang miyembro ng pre-trial chamber ng ICC na nagsasabi na yung jurisdiction, about temporal jurisdiction, ang magti-trigger lamang ng investigation is yung paghihingi ng pag-request ng permission ng prosecutor to the ICC. At ito'y ginawa nila 2 years after nag-effect yung ating withdrawal from the ICC. Ginawa po nila yan 2 years. Kaya nga dalawang dissenting opinion yun eh. So sana, kung tayo, if you want to interpret itong mga bagay-bagay na ito, sana we have to interpret it in favor of our people. Tao natin ito eh. Pilipino ito. Bakit natin papaboran yung mga foreigner, ng mga banyaga na yan? Sila na nagsabi. It was the request for to conduct investigation was triggered 2 years after nag-effect yung ating withdrawal. But then again, Madam Chair, I will leave it at that. Please continue.
Yes, Senator Cayetano, please.
Just a manifestation on that point, and of course, our friend, the DOJ Secretary, can rebut or give a retort. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Justice Astuna, thank you very much po for giving us time and being here today. Actually, isang main contention siguro yung residual power sa case sa Supreme Court, and as the Justice Secretary said, it's sub judice, and of course, everyone will be waiting for the decision of the Supreme Court. Ang point ko lang kasi, both sides, the pro-Duterte, anti-Duterte, want accountability. The pro-Duterte feels that the accountability is the drug lords, etc. And if President Duterte did something that amounts to a crime, pero ang accountability dapat dito sa Pilipinas at tamang proseso. So doon naman sa gustong i-hold, anti-Duterte gusto siyang i-hold accountable, siguro naman ay safe to assume that they also want yung tamang proseso. So the thing is, there was an actual Supreme Court case, the Pangilinan versus Cayetano, questioning, I think the Secretary of Foreign Affairs noon, kaya name, questioning nga yung kung kailangan ng Senate concurrent to withdrawal ng natin from the Rome Statute, no, from yung ICC. Pero nakalagay din dun sa case na yun, let me paraphrase, that the Supreme Court can continue to review yung actions ng executive. So my problem with yung interpretation dun sa residual powers, kasi nga, di ba, sa 5 judge sa ICC, yung 2 nagsabing, wala kaming jurisdiction. Kasi nung sinimulan namin yan, tapos na dun sa residual na 1 year. But 3 justices said na pwede. So my problem kasi is walang World Supreme Court eh. So there's only the ICC Court and the Appellate Court. Unlike kung dito natin final sa judiciary natin, then yung interpretation whether they still have jurisdiction or not would have been done under Philippine law. And President Duterte would have been able to present his case not only as to jurisdiction but as to whether or not there is probable cause. So I'll stop there, Madam Chair. And again, I think this is a point of disagreement, but I just like to manifest that, no, that we can argue back and forth whether or not may jurisdiction ng ICC, and the reality is nandun na si President Duterte. But for future cases, whether it's Senator Bato or others named, I gave two examples. No, if suddenly there's a witness from Marawi and they said that our troops killed children and women, and then nag-issue ng arrest ang ICC, or if the military suddenly uncovers a mass grave in any part of the country and says na nilibing yan during 2011 to 2015, I want to know whether the ICC can issue a warrant and then pwedeng idiretso na silang i-expel, i-deport, or whatever we call it. And I guess in the finality, Secretary, is that the Supreme Court will rule on that. No? But just to clarify matters, I want to put that on record. That's what I want to clarify, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Maraming salamat kay Senator Cayetano. Gusto ko lang ipaalala, and I think Executive Director Alcantara is here. In the diffusion notice, if we will recall, on the second page, apakaliwanag na nakalagay with a view to extradition. Walang binabanggit na surrender. With a view to extradition and assurances given that extradition will be sought. Dalawang beses inulit ng Interpol to. Extradition is explicit. Secretary Remulla, kung obligasyon natin, ang obligasyon natin, extradition, pati yung Interpol yan ang sabi.
Sila ho ang mag-file ng extradition, hindi po tayo. Hindi ho namin option yun. Yung po option po nila. Hindi namin option yun. Kasi ang option lang po namin, surrender lang. At sasagutin natin ang extradition kung sila po ang mag-file. Under the law po.
Liwanagin natin, ang surrender option kapag foreign national. Ang liwaliwanag po niyan nandito sa ating batas at hindi rin kayo naghintay ng request for extradition. Even though only 12 to 15 hours was measured by
Wala pong particular reference to 9851 sa foreigner. Ito po sa offender lang po, sa accused. Yun po ang reference ng 9851.
Makikita natin, kasi kinalkal na natin dito sa Senado, nanggaling din sa Senado yan, na ang nakasaad sa Article 17, yung dulo, RA 9851, talagang maliwanag na surrender, para sa foreign national. Ilang beses na rin pinaliwanag ni Attorney Medina yan sa first and second hearing na maliwanag na para sa foreign national yan. Kaya mukhang malabo ito.
Sa interpretation po yun, hindi mo sa batas yun.
Nasa transcript po, ang liwaliwanag, may amendment si Senator Subiri at the time, nakalista lahat ng bill spending, pare-pareho po ang referral sa foreign lang. Hindi po pwede sa Pilipino. Hindi bale, tulad nga ng sinabi ni Senator Cayetano, we agree to disagree. Hindi po pwede para sa amin, maliwanag. And I'd like to call on Justice Ascuna at this juncture. Reference has been made to RA 9851, yung Article 17 nga na sinasabi, na sa ngayon, hindi na yung Rome Statute kasi post-2019 na tayo. No? So, ang huling kataga, pursuant to the applicable extradition laws and treaties. It's very clear, it's the last sentence of Article 17. And in an interview, the former Supreme Court Justice Adolfo Ascuna opined that surrender must be made pursuant to an applicable treaty. And since the Philippines is no longer a party to the Rome Statute, what then is the applicable treaty? Wala nang treaty. Dahil ang ini-invoke na yung Rome Statute, wala na ngayon. Siguro si Justice Ascuna mas mahusay magpaliwanag.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Regarding the applicable provisions, the justification given by government for the surrender of former President Rodrigo Duterte to the ICC consists of two grounds. One is the warrant of arrest issued by the ICC and served through the protocol of the Interpol. The other is Section 17 of Republic Act 9851, which is the Philippine IHL law, and which provides that if a person is already being investigated for the crimes covered by this act, which includes crimes against, which includes the crimes for which President Duterte is being charged, is already being investigated by an international tribunal. The relevant Philippine authorities may surrender such person to the international tribunal, but it adds pursuant to the applicable extradition laws and treaties. Ngayon, ang tanong, ito bang last sentence na ito, which provides for the requirement that the surrender should be pursuant to applicable treaties, is still applicable since we don't have anymore the Rome Statute. Sa palagay ko po ay it's either we have the Rome Statute or not. If we don't have a treaty, then we cannot surrender the suspect to the ICC under this section, because this section requires that the surrender be pursuant to a treaty. Pursuant means in accordance with. And so if there is no treaty, in my view, we cannot make a surrender. On the other hand, if there is still a treaty that is due to the residual obligations that the Philippines may have even after withdrawal, pursuant to Article 127, Paragraph 2 of the Rome Statute, after withdrawal, the withdrawing state still obliged to cooperate with the ICC in relation to matters already under consideration by the court prior to withdrawal. So again, you go back to the question, is the Philippine situation something already under consideration by the court, by the ICC, prior to our withdrawal? In my view, Madam Chair, the answer is yes, because as of February 8, 2018, prior to our withdrawal, Fatou Bensouda, the former ICC prosecutor, already said that the Philippine situation is under preliminary examination as of that day. Question is whether or not the prosecutor is the court, because 127 paragraph 2 says under consideration by the court. And in my view, it is, because there are four principal organs of the ICC. The first is the presidencies. There's one president and two vice presidents. The second are the judicial divisions. The third is the office of the prosecutor. And the fourth is the registrar. So the office of the prosecutor is part of the court. Therefore, when Article 127, Paragraph 2 says the matter must be under consideration by the court at the time before withdrawal, it includes consideration by the prosecutor. And so therefore, I believe we have residual obligations even after withdrawal. Question therefore is whether or not the warrant for arrest issued by the ICC after our withdrawal is something we have to cooperate with under 127 paragraph 2. In my view, yes. And therefore, in my view, the warrant of arrest is legal. However, I believe that the surrender is not, because the surrender must be pursuant to a treaty, and therefore our own law, Section 17 of Republic Act 9851, brought back the Statute of Rome, even after withdrawal, because it requires that a surrender must be pursuant to the applicable treaty. And therefore, in this case, the applicable treaty remains the Statute of Rome. And thus, we have to follow Article 59 of the Statute of Rome, which requires that the custodial state, namely the Philippines, must first bring the arrested person to a local court to determine two things: whether or not the person is really the one named in the warrant. Second, whether or not the person has been informed of the charges against him or her. This was not done. Therefore, there was, in my view, a violation in the act of surrender. However, Madam Chair, this is in the forum of the Philippines, but in the forum of the ICC, different rules apply. The rule in international law, Madam Chair, is that procedural laws are governed by the forum. So procedural safeguards are applicable only to the forum. If the Philippine Bill of Rights, for instance, which says that no person However, criminal proceedings before the ICC is governed by their own procedure. This is in accordance with private international law, that procedure is governed by Lex Fori, the law of the forum. And therefore, we go to the procedure in the ICC. In the ICC, I believe they follow what is called mali coptus beni detentus, meaning that even if the arrest is illegal, the detention can be legal. It does not automatically mean that if the arrest was illegal, the person arrested must be released. They will balance, it's a balancing act. They will balance the illegality of the arrest with the need to prosecute someone for very serious offenses under international law. And in their view, the balance weighs in favor of prosecution. They will prosecute, notwithstanding the violation of the procedure in the arrest and in the surrender, I mean. Therefore, it depends on whether you're talking about Philippine Forum or the ICC. The ICC, I believe, will follow their own procedure. Whereas in the Philippines, as it is now pending in the Philippine Supreme Court, in my view, there is a violation and there will be consequences for that violation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Justice Oscuna. As usual, we received a very exhaustive opinion, and I'm certain that we will be guided by the same. I think Senator Cayetano would like to respond.
May I take advantage of the knowledge, wisdom, experience of Justice Oscuna, not only as a former Supreme Court justice, a recognized legal luminary, but as a member of the Constitutional Commission. Sir, can I take a step back? When the Constitutional Commission discussed the Bill of Rights, and in Section 2, the rights of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, effects, against unreasonable searches and seizures of whatever nature and for any purpose shall be inviolable, and no search warrant or warrant arrest shall issue except upon 1, probable cause, 2, be determined personally by the judge after examination under oath of affirmation of the complainant and the witnesses he may produce, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. Am I correct, sir, that this was also a reaction to a period in the martial law where there were different kinds of warrant of arrest? Diba yung, I don't know the name of all of them, but ASO, so there were arrest warrants from many sources, including the military. So the commission, in its